Hey everybody. So a couple of weeks ago I did a video showing you how to create a model for a pipes of pan using Blender. The one thing I didn't do though was actually create a texture for it. I just created the shape. And so for today I thought I would show you how to use Blender's um, texture paint feature to do that, how to create a texture for a model. So it should be a lot of fun. Shouldn't take too long. We're not going to get too far into it because painting is a pretty complex subject, but it's be a pretty good introduction to the subject. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, so in my last video, I showed you how to build this pipes of pan model. Now, what I didn't do though was give it any kind of texture or anything like that. Though I did give it a couple of material groups that you can see here. I have the pipes and then the one for the bands that hold it together. So I'm going to jump over real quick to View, and you can see here in the preview window, because we didn't create any sort of texture, it's just sort of this sort of uglyish grayish thing. Now I could go in and set the textures manually here in View using those material groups. You can see here I have the bands and the pipes. So if I wanted to change the something blue here, so now the pipes have turned blue. Um, you can do it that way, but let's say you wanted to make a more complete prop and you wanted to actually paint some texture on it in Blender. Well, you can do that as well. Blender has this texture paint mode that switches you to a mode where you can paint. Now, there's a couple of things you have to do before you can paint, though. This has no UV maps, so I'm just going to, and it's warning me about that here, so I'm just going to create a simple one with that button there. And the next thing it's going to want me to do is add a paint slot. I like to manually do it here because I'm going to do it as an image. And we'll create a new image, and we'll give it the a name, Pipes of Pan Texture. And 1 megapixel is fine because this is a pretty small prop. And then for the base color, I think I'm going to pick something other than solid black. We'll just do a middle gray maybe. Okay, and there's our middle gray. And now that's all you need to do to start painting. I just go into the paint tools here. We'll pick a color and hold down my mouse button and just swipe across, and you see I'm actually painting this now. Um, you have a few things you can do here. Let's expand this. I can change the radius of the brush to make it bigger so I can paint more of it at once. And then you got to remember, you got to paint every side. Then I can adjust the strength. So let's go with a different color here. Now it's a bit more solid. If I reduce the strength to something really low, you can see it kind of doesn't cover it as much. So you can build layers up this way. So yeah, that's all you really need to do to paint it. Now, granted, I'd be a lot more detailed, painting the model, for later use. But I might, get real close in here on the bands. And then give the pipes a certain kind of color. But right now, I'm just demonstrating, so getting through this pretty quick. Now, what you want to do once you've actually finished the painting is save it, though. That's a little bit more tricky. So what you have to do is actually go to the UV image editor and select that image right here, Pipes of Pan Texture, and then save it. So we'll go to Image, and we're going to save as an image. And we'll put this on the desktop as Pipes of Pan Texture and .png. It's already picked the name out for us. We'll save that as an image. Go back into the 3D view and into the object mode. And what we need to do is actually apply that picture to the material groups here. So first I'm going to go to the material group pipes. Now to get to material groups, I click on this little ball shaped thing here. Then I'm going to go to its texture. Create a new texture. And we'll open an image for that. And we go up to our desktop and pick our Pipes of Pan texture. And then I got to go back to the material selector again, go to the bands, and then do the same thing. Go to textures, add a new texture, open the image, go to desktop, Pipes of Pan texture. And now it's loaded both. Now you don't see anything here. If you want to see something here, we can go to texture. You really can't see very much there either. Let's see if I got a material maybe. There you go. If I go to material, you can see it. However, now if I export this model, export, wavefront object, and I'll just overwrite the one I had loaded there in view. There we go. Now I'm going to jump over to view real quick. And view has detected that I need to reload the model. I'll let it do that. And there you can see our textures there. So if I go to our preview mode, and there it is, just like that. Now let's say we want to do somewhat more of a complex texture. I can do that as well. So I just go back to Blender here. And you know, I can sit here and manually paint in. Let's go to texture paint mode here. All the details, you know, that I want using small radius brushes and, you know, darker colors maybe to do details. Let's turn the strength up. Yeah, stuff like this. Yeah, but that could be pretty time consuming and take a long time. Let's say I have some pictures of textures that I want to use. Well, I can do, all I have to do is go to the texture mode here. It doesn't matter which one I pick. I'm going to actually open or create a new texture and open an image. This is really just to load it into to Blender. So if I go up to desktop, I have one saved here, this wood find. This is just something I downloaded off the internet. So you can see here's this nice looking texture. Now I'm going to uncheck it here so it doesn't actually affect any textures. So over here in the painting menu, I'm going to expand this texture thing right here. And we'll create a new texture. Now I'm going to click on that and I'll select that picture that I had before of the wood texture. And let's create a... One thing that you want to do is go with a white brush. And... Oh, I need to get the radius up. Now, oh, that's way too big. Now when I paint with that texture. So this is going to give me a much more advanced looking UV map in the end. Now, like I said, I'm not going to be too detailed here. And let's say I want to load another texture for these ribbons that hold the pipes together. I can do that as well. We'll just add another one here. And this is another one that I downloaded off the internet. So, desktop. I think it's fabric plane. It's like this kind of fabric-y type texture here. Let's turn that off. And we'll just go over here. Select that texture. We'll go with a smaller brush. And then I'm not going to be too careful here, but I could use masking and such if I needed to. Painting is a pretty advanced subject in Blender. So there's a lot of things I'm not covering here, and a lot of things I don't know. There's probably better ways to do even some of the stuff I'm doing now. So if you know of them, you're welcome to leave some comments below in the comments section for this video. All right, so that looks pretty good right there. Now I'm going to go export our picture again. So go back to UV image editor, and then our picture's already loaded here. I'm just going to save it again. Save image, or save as image. Pipes of pen texture, save as image. And then just to force view to reload, I'm going to export this object again. You probably don't really need to. You've already overwritten the UV map at this point. Like I said, I just want to make view aware that I've made some changes. And now if I go back to view, it says I need to reload. And actually, you can see it's already reloaded the UV map here. So, I mean, that's how you create a much more advanced looking texture using some texture images. And that's pretty much it for today. I just wanted to show you a sort of a quick way to sort of a quick introduction to texture painting in Blender. Like I said, it's a pretty advanced subject, but if you spend some time trying to master it, it's you know, it's a nice way of doing things. It's because it's Blender, it's free. Now I prefer to do sort of the same thing using ZBrush, but ZBrush is a really expensive application, so this is a nice alternative. So thank you everybody, and good night.